Welcome viewers to ReachIvy's webinar series, where we speak with senior admissions officers from top schools from all over the world. A quick note about ReachIvy. We are a premier study abroad and career guidance company, and we support students and professionals to achieve their study abroad aspirations and prepare them for their next dream job. We work all the way from undergraduate to PhD and in different professional sectors. You can definitely check out more of our services at reachivy.com. I'm Suman. I'm Senior Counsellor at ReachIvy. I did my undergrad in engineering in Mumbai University, and then I got a master's degree in education from Harvard University in Massachusetts, which is actually very close to the college we are going to be looking at today. I want to welcome Jenene Romanucci, who is the Associate Director of Graduate Admissions at Babson College. Just a little bit about her. Currently, her main responsibility is keeping oversight on admissions and recruiting process at Babson's specialized master's program, which we will be looking at in detail later, including the MS programs in accounting, management, finance, etc. Jenene has been in Babson since 2013, prior to which she served as Associate Director of Graduate Admissions at Regis College. And she's been working in higher education for the last 12 years. It's a pleasure to have Jenene with us. Welcome, Jenene.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here. Hearing my background, I'm like, wow, I really have been in higher ed for a while.
All right, I guess let's get started with the questions that we have curated from many of our students and are usually, as we say, FAQs about different colleges that we get. So just to start off, can you share with us a little bit about Babson College, all in Graduate School of Business, and especially what our audience is curious about, the master's program?
Yes, absolutely. Happy to do so. So thank you again for having me here today. I'm so thrilled to talk about Babson. It's a very special place, and to talk about our specialized master's programs. So Babson, as you mentioned, we're in Massachusetts, so right outside of Boston, which is wonderful because it's really a hub of higher education. Babson specifically is a very small, specifically business school. So in terms of what we offer, one discipline in terms of business. So at the undergrad level, we only have a bachelor's in business administration with, of course, concentrations. And then at the graduate level, we have a variety of different business-related graduate programs, which is just really nice because I think when you say we're solely a business school, it means what we do that much better because that's our sole focus, which is very nice. So we're located about 10 miles or so outside of Boston, in a small little town called Wellesley, Massachusetts. Some of you may have heard of it. And we're most known here at Babson, many of you probably have seen, we're most known for entrepreneurship. We've been ranked #1 in entrepreneurship for 24 years in a row at the graduate level. And that's wonderful. And we're so proud of that. What I think I'd like to highlight more than any particular number, though, right, is why we're ranked so highly. And I think it's the way we teach entrepreneurship. So it's not just starting a business. It's related to what we call entrepreneurial thought and action, which is very much about taking ideas and putting them into action, no matter what industry you're looking at. So finance, accounting, education, non-for-profit. You don't necessarily need to be, looking to start a business to be an entrepreneur, and that's what we teach here at Babson. Specific to the programs themselves, the specialized masters, as you mentioned, we offer something in management, in entrepreneurial leadership. We offer a master's in finance and a master's in accounting. All of them typically tend to be geared towards someone who's a little bit earlier on in their career, with, of course, some flexibility around that. And they're all quite short. Some can be completed in as early as 7 months. Most are completed in 9, and then some have the option of kind of decelerating and going a little bit longer. So it's a really great way early on in your career to kickstart and get the additional skills that you're looking for. really before you kind of hit the ground running, getting into the nitty-gritty of your career.
All right, thank you. I think that brings me to a question I'm sure you get very often.
Sure.
So what would you tell people who are trying to decide between MBA versus specialized master's programs? And you know how important it is for students to pick the right program. So
Of course.
should ideally be applying to these programs, especially when people are trying to decide between MBA and these?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a question I love to answer because I feel as though I can provide, doing this for so long, I like to provide exactly what you speak to is the counsel to find the right program, because nobody's going to benefit if a student's coming into the wrong program. And that's where myself and my colleagues are really very committed to helping people find the right program. And that's part of what I love about Babson. What I'll put is a caveat on this to say, students are going to continue to get, some conflicting advice on the right thing to do. But the way I generally advise my students about what to do is to think about when they realized there was a gap in their skill set that they wanted additional education on. And if that was early on in their careers, perhaps, while they're still an undergraduate or within the first couple, then I generally suggest a specialized master's program. If, however, they've been working for some time because they got a job right out of undergrad and then they realize there's additional skills, it's at that point that I believe an MBA makes the most sense. What I generally advise students against is if they're, still in undergraduate and they know they want additional education, I generally advise against working just for the sake of getting the work experience only to later get your MBA. If you already know that there's a skill set you want to complement, then my suggestion is always to go right into the specialized master's program, because then within a year you have that master's degree and you're that much more competitive for jobs that are out there.
Yeah, I think this was really helpful, Jenene. Just going a little deeper with respect to what students' background has been and what the programs offer. Of course, you know that often students meet all the admissions requirements, but they're still not the right fit. And that fit is something that is so important, right? So can you share with us a little bit about what background, profile, or traits do you see more often in the students there, or you are looking for when admitting students into the 3 programs?
Absolutely. It's actually part of the reason that I love working at Babson is because we have such an emphasis on that. We have such an emphasis beyond just metrics, GMAT scores, GPAs. Those are just numbers that, are great and indicative of something, but when you walk through the doors at Babson, your GMAT doesn't really matter anymore, right? Your undergraduate GPA isn't representative of you. What's representative of you is you and the work that you're going to do when you walk through those doors. So in our evaluation of candidates, we take that all into consideration. I would say the number one factor we're looking for, the number one characteristic we're looking for across all of our programs is drive and motivation. You would be amazed how much that drive and motivation and passion, that dedication to the education and the experiences that they're learning here, you would be amazed to see how successful that can make our students. And we have, experiences seeing people who came in with maybe a little bit of a lower GMAT that we took a chance on, and that they excelled in the program and are now just some of our most successful alums. Yeah. So there's a lot to be said for that, drive and motivation, just really that commitment to taking advantage of the opportunity that you have here. So drive and motivation, grit, the ability to, tenacity, the ability to kind of bounce back from failures and be flexible. That's huge for us because we're going to encourage a lot of experimentation across all of our programs, finance, accounting, and management. So the ability to kind of think outside of the box and navigate that ambiguity is huge. And we often get a lot of questions, how do I display that? How do I submitted my transcripts, I submitted this, how do I do that? Babson offers a lot of great opportunities, I think, through the interview, through your essays, which are really creative essay questions that speak to Babson characteristics and how you embody them, And certainly letters of recommendation are huge. They're third-party perspective on those things outside of academics. So I really like to make sure students know, candidates know, that we really do take a holistic approach to reviewing all applications and truly do consider each part of what you're submitting and which parts you would bring value to Babson and how you would extract value from Babson. The Babson fit is everything for us.
Yeah, thank you for summarizing that so beautifully. And one of the things that we do is help students kind of brainstorm and kind of come up with stuff that they want to portray in their application.
That's wonderful.
Exactly what you were talking about. I think we went over quite quickly over that, but could you briefly summarize the different specialized master's program, please?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's hugely important to understand what each is really geared towards, because again, it goes towards figuring out the right program for you. And the one thing I'll say before I go into depth is, if anybody has any questions, and even if you're really early on in this process, we're always really happy to help and have conversations to help determine and counsel students towards what we would advise. Oftentimes that comes from conversation. So I just wouldn't hesitate to have anyone reach out to myself or my colleagues to have those conversations, because it's confusing and it's overwhelming, certainly. But to speak, specifically about what some of those programs are, our Master of Science in Management and Entrepreneurial Leadership, it's a mouthful. It is a management program, but it focuses on a different type of management, and that is through leadership and entrepreneurial leadership. And it's really geared for that student who has 0 to 2 years of experience. Most are coming right from undergrad. About half are coming with 1 or 2 years. And it's designed to give you integrated business foundations to understand how business is really replicated in the real world, complemented by some hands-on experiences. So you're creating your own business, you're doing a consulting project with a real company, you're doing a trip abroad for a couple of weeks, and doing some coaching and mentoring in underserved areas of Boston. So to us, it's really important to really combine the inside and the outside of the classroom experiences. And we do that through all of our programs. You don't have to have any particular background to come into that program. It's for business and non-business majors. And I love the inside the classroom experience because it's very, very integrated. You are having individual classes and you're not learning them in silos, you're learning them in an integrated manner, which I think, we would all agree, right, really replicates the real world out there. And our Master of Science in Accounting program is for students who are really looking to prepare themselves, students who are really looking to prepare themselves to sit for a CPA exam and are looking for careers in public accounting. So it's designed as a 30-credit program to give students, oftentimes what we see as our students here in the US, are graduating with about 120 credits, and they are looking for an additional 30 credits to help prepare for the CPA. But I think what's great about our accounting program is it's not just prepared to make them pass the CPA. I always say they're great accountants. We want to make them great professionals. Mm-hmm. So through classes like business ethics for CPAs, professional writing, strategic business presentations, they're learning not only the advanced accounting skills, but also the skills that are going to help them to be successful professionals in the future, which I think is key. And then finally, our Master of Science in Finance is really for someone who knows that they want to go in depth into the area of finance. And similar to all of our other programs, it's very much focused on the application of the material. So that program has a really great class, Financial Data Analysis and Practice, where you're working in our finance lab to understand how is the data and the research, how is it analyzed, working with different terminals, the Bloomberg terminals, Capital IQ, things like that, again, for that real world practice. So I think it depends with which program, what your career outcomes are. If you want to go in depth into finance, MSF program is probably a better fit. For someone who really wants to go into accounting, our MSA is great. And then for someone who kind of wants to explore and test things out, our MSEL program is a great fit for them.
Wow, that's a lot of options. And I'm sure students would love to explore that. And thank you for offering to help students out,
Happy
with
to.
conversations with your team and yourself. I think that's really helpful. Another thing that we often hear from is, again, these are students going abroad, many for the first time. What kind of facilities and what kind of resources did the university, college, school as a whole offers to students?
Yeah, absolutely. This Babson in general is quite heavily international. We're one of the most international schools, certainly in the United States, if not the world. So we're obviously very skilled at being able to support our international students in a variety of different ways, academically and non-academically. Depending on the program, it can be anywhere from really 50% international students to 85% international students. And you're seeing, when I say international, you're really seeing diversity within that, which is really important to us. So we're very, very well resourced to be able to provide that support. Everything from our career center, where people have dedicated career advisors in the field that they're interested in and based on program. So you have that person who serves as your individual counselor, but also is making connections to industry experts, which is really important because they can really help partner with you to find that right fit when they know what the companies are looking for and they know what you're looking for. So that's just something that I think gives us a leg up from our competitors, and that it helps to really build those relationships with companies and employers. And then in terms of some, more logistical things, we do offer housing to to all of our graduates. Well, not to all of our graduate students. It's available for all of our graduate students to apply to. It is limited though. So for someone, the advice I would give to someone who housing on campus is very important is for them to apply on the earlier side. We also have a really wonderful, our Glavin Center for International Students and Scholars. We have an International Student and Scholar Services department within that that's very skilled at helping our international students navigate some of the logistics and the processes that are involved in being an international student here at Babson. So they're experts on helping you through the visa process. They certainly help you do your best to acclimate over here, and they constantly have support resources to help you once you are here to make sure that you certainly feel comfortable and you feel as comfortable as you do in your home country, because that's what we want for you. So that's just a sampling. I mean, I think the beauty of Babson is we're a smaller school, but we're very well resourced in terms of academic resources and non-academic resources to provide you the support and the guidance, the education that you might need.
Great. I think you touched upon what question I was going to ask you next, and that is, how does Olin assist international students specifically with career guidance and placement? And I know you touched upon that, but if you want to tell our viewers something more about how does it work, and especially if people want to move back to their home countries afterwards, is there a support system for that?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great question, right? Because that's the whole point of coming to grad school, is what's on the outcomes side of things. And I think the beauty of being a school that's so international is that that's our norm. Our norm is to be able to, provide international students with guidance. There's no question that it is a little bit more on the challenging side for someone who might want to stay in the United States. But because we are such a highly international population and have been working with lots of companies and organizations that are looking to emerging markets, so perhaps, going back to their home country and coming back here or vice versa, I think it allows us great partnerships with a lot of institutions, a lot of organizations, companies, corporations that are all over the world. So having those close relationships with your career center representative is going to be really key. And then I think our alumni base is really, really something that I encourage students early on to take advantage of, especially with these specialized master's programs. And I say that because they're on the smaller side. And because they're on the smaller side, our alums have not only the real dedication to Babson and helping Babson alums, but certainly to helping the alums that are coming from these programs that they graduated. And they want to be able to give back because they want to see, the Babson name and the specialized master's name really be, really broaden. And because our current students are representing their brand as well. So I think taking advantage of a wonderful alumni network is going to be key. I mean, we're talking 40,000 alumni all over the world, really willing, happy to give back. But then I also want to highlight some of our other academic resource centers, because through that, that's how you network, and that's going to be really a key factor for our international students looking to gain jobs. Because in that case, what you're doing is you're showing them the opportunity, you're showing them what they would get in hiring you. You're basically saying, okay, if you were to, this is what you get with me. So we have our Blank Center for Entrepreneurship, and that's got a launch venture pad that if you want to start your own business, you can work on with that. And they're so well connected and resourced to really help give you mentorship and networks to really help build a business. We also have a Lewis Center for Social Innovation. So for those of you who are interested in working more on the social side of things, again, really building that network is key. And then we have a Center for Women's Entrepreneurial Leadership, which I really like to highlight because it's really about empowering women in business. And again, that's going to really help give you some really terrific networks, which in the end is so much of what comes, the support and the resources come down to.
All right, thank you so much for telling us all about
Sure.
like placement opportunities, etc. Another question that we get often is, what does a classic day of a student in one of the programs like the ones you spoke about looks like? And especially, you mentioned that it's a pretty short program, so like you probably there for 7 or 9 months. So is it just going to classes the entire day, or is this kind of like so if you could paint the picture for our audience.
Absolutely. Yes, at Babson, you are never going to be sitting in class all day long. It's just not the way we teach. We want to be able to obviously share our expertise with you, but then have you practice and do. So what students should not expect when they come here is to sit in the back of the classroom, just take notes, be lectured at, and not plan to be actively involved either in discussions, projects, activities. You will be involved and immersed in the Babson culture no matter what program you're in. Right. Obviously, there are some classes that are a little bit more quantitative than others that might be a little bit more, lecture-based, but even then, so much of what we do is case study approach and really focused on a practical approach and not theory, because so many people have gotten that theory at the undergraduate level. So it's going to vary program to program, in terms of what a typical day looks like, but usually what I tell students is to anticipate a full day here on campus, of course, for a short program, half of which, maybe a little bit more than half, is your classroom work and you're required, where you need to be. And half of which is other requirements. So group work, presentations that you need to attend. We have a lot of project time together because you will be working in groups much, much, much more often than you will be working individually, no matter what program you're looking at. So I generally tell students to anticipate coming in kind of with the mindset of how you would be working a full-time job, 40 hours a week or something, but know that some of that is classroom time and some of that is project work, work with our Center for Career Development, things like that, because we really want you to be involved as much outside of the program as you are inside of the program. And so we're going to give you the resources and the time and somewhat require that you take advantage of those things.
I think I love when you said it's almost like a full-time job, 40-hour week. I guess that's really helpful in students imagining what the day looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. In general, classes start about 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30 in the morning, go to maybe about 1 or 1:30 with, of course, a break. And even when, like I said, when you're in the classroom, you're not being lectured at, you're doing. And then the rest of the afternoon generally falls to the project time and the other requirements that we ask of you.
Great. Now I'm sure students are very curious about the admissions process, which you spoke about a little bit before. Can we, if you'd like to speak about the admissions process with a little bit of focus on the scholarships and financial aid?
Sure, yeah.
Because as we know, definitely grad school is an investment that you have to carefully think about. So yeah, I guess yeah.
Absolutely. It's an investment and it shouldn't be something that's taken lightly, because not only is it an investment in your money, it's an investment in your time and your energy. And so you do want to make sure you're making the right decision for yourself. We do try and make it as easy as possible. Everything is done online. So there's it's the Babson Bridge. So if you go to www.babson.edu/bridge, you can create an online portal account, and everything's done through that. So we ask for for you to upload your resume. We ask for you to write an essay question, submit your transcripts. We ask for either the GMAT or the GRE in terms of the language test. For our students from India, we will waive that. It is not a requirement of them. We evaluate, a lot of times we'll evaluate the English speaking ability through the interview, which is required of anyone who would be admitted, but it is by invitation only. 2 letters of recommendation for our MSEL program and for our Finance and Accounting program 1. So we try and make the process, like I said, as easy as possible. We only ask for the things that we need, but we ask for the things that we need and then we review them. And I think the beauty of how Babson operates is, pardon me, you don't need to submit, pardon me, you don't need to submit anything different for a scholarship evaluation. We're automatically going to review anyone who's admitted into the program for scholarship. And those awards can vary everywhere from a $5,000 award all the way up to a full tuition award, which generally falls to about $50,000 US or so for the whole program. So it's all based on merit. And when I say merit, I don't just mean GMAT score. I mean, how involved are you in the community? How much value have you added to your undergraduate institution that we feel you would be bringing to Babson? It really is a holistic process to review applicants, not only for application, but also for receipt of scholarship as well. So nothing else is needed other than the application in order to be considered for scholarship.
And you'd say international students have equal access to the scholarships?
Everybody.
Already.
Everybody's evaluated in the same pool. Once they're admitted, we extract our admitted students and look at them as one big pool. So same opportunities are afforded to an international student that would be a domestic student.
That's excellent. And I think I read somewhere 60% of Olin students receive some sort of scholarship. Is that right?
Yes, and it's actually higher for our master's students. It generally falls 75 to 80% receive some sort of scholarship. Because we understand you're early in your careers for the most part, and we don't want financial need to be something that impacts someone's ability to come to Babson. If they're a good fit and we're a good fit, we want to support, of course, within reason, as much as possible.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think that's really reassuring for all the prospective applicants. Okay, so I think if you had to summarize everything, what's the one piece of advice you want to give students who are interested in applying to Olin, especially the specialized master's program? What would that be?
What I say over and over again, and it sounds somewhat cliche, but be genuine, be yourself. Don't tell us the answers that you think we want to hear, because we've heard that so many times before. And it comes through really obviously if you're telling us what you think we want to hear versus you. Truly what we want to hear is what makes you special, is what makes you feel like Babson is the right fit for you. So definitely put some time and thought into those essays, into that interview, because that's going to be something that really sets you apart from your peers. You might have the same grades, you might have similar career goals, but you're different people. So focus less on what you think we want to hear and just truly be genuine to who you are, because that's who's coming to Babson. So my number one piece of advice is always to be genuine in your application. But of course, do the research. Make sure Babson is the right fit for you. Rankings aside, it's just a number. What is it that represents that you feel will be the best fit for you? So really bring life to the reasons behind those things.
On that note, I think we're reaching the end of the webinar. Thank you so much, Jenene, for joining today and then telling us all about Babson, Olin, and especially the 3 specialized master's programs. I'm really looking forward to working with students who are interested in applying to Olin, and I'm sure you'll be receiving a few queries as well.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I hope so. It's been truly a pleasure to speak with you, and hopefully this helped answer some of the questions for our candidates. I always say here at Babson, we're about decreasing the stress that comes with applying to grad school and just increasing that excitement. So as people have questions, please, our office is a great resource to be able to assist, and we really look forward to it.
Perfect. And for the viewers, if you need to reach us, feel free to do so at help@reachivy.com, and we'll be happy to provide you any support and service needed. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thank you so much, Jenene.